But I grew up in a family business and I got this thing started because our business, for our family business is what needed this. So I actually got started in ads and advertising and those types of things well before anything digital happened back in about 2003. There was a group of guys for GKIC, which is with Dan Kennedy and a lot of direct response. So if any of you guys have ever seen anything with long form sales letters and those types of things, that's where I actually got started. And obviously we've just been able to take that
Long
and
form
push it
sales
over.
letters were
Mhm.
like the original way
Yes,
of doing like an automation, like from Constant Contact, right?
that's it.
So
Yep.
do you have you seen the whole, I'm sure you've seen crazy changes over the past 5 years.
Oh. Uh, Over the past 5 years, it's been interesting because when we started running digital ads back in, 2005, 2008 range, something like that, that's back in the MySpace days, right? And then Facebook comes along and then it's right column and then
Right.
so forth, right? Google ads, etc. We had, I think, a good period of, 15 years ish, give or take, that, man, it was like the Wild West and everything was good. And, in the last 5 years, there's been, between privacy lockdowns and people being pixeled and all those things, it's like that's made things a little bit more complicated in the ads game. And quite frankly, it's kind of reverted back to what it used to be. So now, whenever we talk to people, it's like, hey, we want to run ads on all these digital platforms in the way that we did in the 80s and 90s before we had all of these things. So
What
it's
are
been
you
kind of an interesting
finding
thing.
where, and I warned Josh that I was going to interrupt him a lot.
That's
Where do
okay.
you, where do you find people, especially private practice owners?
Mhm.
We have people on this call from all over the world. Where are you finding people are making mistakes when it comes to throwing money into Meta or Google
Sure.
Business or wherever?
The very first thing I will tell you that most people make a mistake of is hitting the boosted post button. I kind of call that Facebook's shareholder pay button. It's like, listen, you
Ugh,
make your money through people hitting boosted posts. Like a lot of times they're very restrictive based on what you can do on the back end ads platform. You can do so much more. And that goes really for Instagram as well. That's probably the biggest mistakes because people think, hey, we're going to spend some money and spend advertising. And what they do is they put you in front of a lot of people. The problem is that inside of the ads program, like you can choose kind of the objective, and what that does is it tells their computer systems, "Hey, this is what we want to focus on. So find people that would do this." So I'll give you a prime example. If you run a traffic campaign, which just means getting people to your website. If you choose that, it's literally going to choose people that will have it shows on the platform that they'll click on ads and that's it. Well, most of the time, that's
right.
not what we need. And that's what boosted posts typically do. They used to call that a page post engagement, which means when you had pages that people could like, so you like your page likes, followers, that type of thing, it was really built to build that part of it up. But that's the biggest mistake I think people make
So
whenever
for
it
the
comes down to Facebook.
people, I want to unpack during this. We're going to be like 30 minutes strong, right?
Mhm.
I want to unpack what do we need to know about a Google business listing? I
Mhm.
think that's a really important piece. And if you guys are a client of Staffless Practice, we just added a lesson on this in the start course. We want you to set up your Google business listing before you do anything else. Because if you don't start with that, what I'm learning, and why did I just learn this, Josh? Is it because I've had a Google business listing since Google
Mhm.
came out? I guess so I never looked at it. And then I keep hearing it mentioned in the
Yeah.
circle that we're in. So I'm finally like, okay, we're starting with this. Google business listings, start with that. Why is that important?
Well, the biggest challenge that they have is in that like this has always been or it's been a thing for a while. The problem is Google always changes it and they always change the criteria that you're ranked by. So this is it's a moving target all the time. So don't feel bad or if anybody else is like not caught on to that, it's completely fine. They just move the target on a pretty routine basis. But the
What do you
biggest
mean
reason
move the
why
target? What does that mean?
well, the way that their computer systems work, like so they call them algorithms, and the way the algorithms work, they will give certain weights to certain criteria. So for example, it used to be that when you did your daily posting, on your Google business profile. It used to be called Google My Business, right? For those of you who have heard it called that. Um, when they used to rate that really, really high. And so if you were doing that all the time, you were going to show up pretty regularly in that top three of your map section. And now
What
they've,
is a daily? I don't even know what you're talking about. What is a daily posting on your Google listing?
yeah, so
Let's
inside of
go.
your Google business profile, you can actually go through and post much like what a social post, right?
So if we
Uh,
go to Google, can we see? Can we
yeah,
do
yeah,
it for example?
just fire up your profile real quick.
So light source,
Mhm. And by the way, guys, as Dr. Jody is pulling this in, the other thing part and the other part of this is that this ties directly into if you're running local service ads through Google. That's Google's pay per lead program,
do I just
and
click
all
here, Josh?
right. Yeah. So if you just exit out of that, and you'll probably need to go into the actual management site itself.
Like own this business? Why,
Yes.
yes, I do.
Yep.
Request
Yep.
access.
So you're
Sheena, can
probably
you see if you can get me in? I'm
Yeah,
probably
you're
like,
probably
yeah.
logged in as a profile that isn't, tied into that part of it.
Is that
Uh,
funny, you guys? I don't even know how to get into this, and I have all these reviews on it. I just
mhm,
don't pay attention to it because it runs itself.
yeah.
I'm
But
sorry. Go ahead.
whenever you go in, so for example, just click on Light Source Chiropractic, just click on your name and it should open up. And they may do things a little differently, on that
Like
side
click on my
because,
website or
yeah,
my
you want to
listing.
open up your Google business profile itself.
I don't
So
even know. I don't even know what the email
got a
for it
weird
is.
view, like, and it may be the way that the settings is. That's a little bit of a different view than when I typically see it. Most of the time, you can go to the actual business page or the actual business profile itself,
If
and
anybody has access to their Google business listing
yeah,
and
we can
you're
take a
willing
look at
to
it.
be our guinea pig, that would be so cool.
Mhm.
Just raise your hand in Zoom.
Yeah.
So, Google business listing is how important on the radar of the things that you need to do to check the box.
It's what I would put in like if I were going to just create an essentials program to say like, okay, when you're starting a business, this is what like it would go there. It's like step one foundational pieces.
Right. Well, let's create an essentials box. I love that
Okay.
idea. Like, here's the box of the things that you need to
Hmm.
crush it online.
Yeah.
Besides Google Business Listing, and again, if anybody's willing to be our guinea pig, raise your hand, please.
Hmm.
What else do we need to know? What else do we need to be sure of online? Anything else
Well, that's kind of
besides?
it's a little bit of a loaded question. What I would say is any business is just getting started off the ground. There's really a handful of things. One, Google Business Profile, that's going to be like, that drives a huge amount of volume whenever it comes to phone calls and that kind of stuff into practices normally. Number two, having a good, solid website, which I know that you help out with a lot of those types of things. Number three is having all of your social profiles and your internet properties claimed, right? So somebody else can't get a hold of those things. So that's going to be YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram,
Right.
like all the big ones that you're familiar with. Um,
How
you got to create
important
all
is
those.
TikTok for Sam's going to show us her business listing. And Sam, if you just want to share your screen, that would be awesome. How important is TikTok? Because I don't do anything with it.
TikTok is going to increasingly become more important over time, provided that, the government doesn't shut it down. Like anything that you look at from that side, but the younger population, it's really morphed from a teenage like dance, funny Vine video type things into something
Right.
that's a real it's a in reality that's kind of their preferred platform. So that's the one thing that you look at is as kids move into adulthood and then they get older with their kids and so forth. It's like they typically will use the same platform. So I bet a lot of you will use Instagram and Facebook quite a bit because that's kind of what you grew up with. And then, your kids are using something different and their kids are going to use something different. So it's only going to continue to get more popular on
So
that front.
TikTok is important. Sheena, note to self.
Yeah.
Can we pick apart Sam's Google business? Now, Sam is in Australia. Will that
Yeah.
matter?
It really won't
Okay.
matter because the rankings and those types of things are going to do exactly the same way. So whenever you add your social profile, so this is one of the things that they changed again because of like you can look at your profile strength and it just gives you a little gauge there to where it's like, okay, go in and continue to add stuff. Now at this point, if you've got a Google business profile that is already approved, don't change any major things. Like don't change phone
Why?
numbers, don't change addresses, don't change any of that stuff, right?
Why?
Because most of the time it's either one going to go in review, so it'll pull it down from being shared,
Ah.
or two, they'll suspend it, which is an entirely different animal altogether. Now, listen, sometimes you change addresses and you change phone numbers and whatever. Like sometimes that stuff happens.
And
So you
are
have
there
to.
people like in Google world? Is there actual people doing it, or is it like machines and AI that's changing all of it?
Most of it's still machines and AI. Most of it's
Okay.
still machines and AI.
So
But
what are we looking at here?
so
What?
whenever you look at, so if you look at post, right? So you see edit profile, read reviews, photos, post. Post is what you can put on the actual profile itself,
Oh,
right? Excuse me.
I never knew
And
this.
yep. And so as you go through now, the other cool parts about this is that if you have if you have a practice management system or even if you're just using Google Calendar, you can set this up to where you can take bookings straight on your Google business profile
Right,
thing.
I
So
did see
I was
that.
like, those things are kind of cool. I mean, again, with Practice Suite, you really don't need that. But there are things that you can use natively.
Right.
Um, inside of the system. Now, the cool part about it is, and I don't want to go too far off the beaten path here, but I know that Practice Suite is pretty awesome because a lot of the things that they have in here, whenever the Google Business Profile is connected, that there's a variety of like AI tooling and different things that you can
Right.
use inside of the system that helps you kind of manage this process too.
So there are, and when you guys, if you don't already have the practice suite, it's a go high level white label platform, but it's pretty imperfect. And what he's saying is there are integrations that we can do with Google Business Listings. I don't
Yep.
know anything about it's a there are so many things when it comes to GHL where
Yep.
I mean it sends my head spinning, and as soon as I get one concept, like 10 more concepts open up.
Yep.
So is there anything here that you would say to Sam, you got to start doing this right now?
Well, the first things I would do is on the complete info where you got that part of it, click on that and just to see what it's suggesting to you. So try to take all the suggesting. Now, if you run ads by yourself on Google Ads, they're going to give you a lot of recommendations. Never, ever, ever, ever accept Google recommendations when it comes to ads because their whole job is to extract money from you. This
Right.
is not a money thing, right? So it's like just look and see what they're looking for. So,
So that's
they
like
want,
the version of Google Ads that Facebook does for boosting posts.
yeah.
It's like I'm not
Pretty
even
much. That's those recommendations. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds really good. They want, yeah, they want to maximize their revenue, not necessarily what's best for you,
you need a shop front photo, sister.
Yeah, so office photo is fine. You're like office photo is fine. And you'll as you go through there and you'll skip it and you'll see other things that
Boy,
they
oh
just want
boy,
to
do we
see.
have photos.
So here's one thing that they always say. Like, so the cool part about this is that usually you can get some advertising credit. And basically they're going to say when you spend $600, we're going to give you another $600 for free, right? So you get a $1,200 basically budget that you
Should we
have on
do
that
that?
part. You can also use that, if I'm not mistaken, with local service ads as well. Again, local service ads is one of those things that's Google's pay per lead model. Like you're only paying for phone calls, you're only paying for whatever. Now, there is a bit of management that goes in that and a bit of setup because it's going to take your licensing, it's going to do background checks, it's going to make sure and vet you because it only wants to send leads to
Can
people.
I ask you, Josh,
Yeah,
if Sam's one of our clients and
yeah,
she does the ads program,
yeah.
could she use this $600 towards her ads budget with what you do with her?
Yeah, for the ad
Okay,
spend for
that's
sure, because
awesome.
that's really going to go. So whenever people work with people like me, is that you've got two different fees. You've got basically the labor fee that it takes, and like that just pays for our ad managers and our creative team and all that fun stuff that goes into that part of it. Like, so you've got labor, and then you've got the spend that you actually, send to
Right,
Google, send to Facebook, send to whatever. And that's something completely separate. That's the one thing I'll be honest with you. That's another mistake that most people make when they hire people like us is
right.
that if I'm giving you an all-in-one price that has ad spend and everything all combined together, I'm very, very hesitant whenever those types of things happen
Because
because
I
you
don't know
don't
what
really
you're,
can.
right.
you don't know what you actually spent. I would much rather be able to say, hey, listen, here's the transparency of it. This is, this $600 was spent here, and you can get your data. Here's the
Mhm.
number one thing. If we would work together, and just assume me from anybody else, if I work together, you need your account data. The account data that you are buying, that's in effect what you're doing. You're getting all those metrics. That will lead the direction, or that will lead you to what you need to do next. Anybody that's worth their salt is really going to help you build assets, right? And an ad program, like that part of it, like knowing what to do and what not to do. Like, so when we run ads, sometimes we have to test things because, you in your market, one offer may
So
work better
ads
than another.
isn't necessary. Can we
Yeah.
let's finish Sam's Google. So can you
Yep.
click skip?
Yep. We can circle back to that for you.
And what would you'd want her to do? Get a custom email address. We
And
actually
this is a perfect example. They're selling you stuff. All
we
right.
actually push our clients to get a Google business account that's paid for $12 a month because they sign a BAA with Google, and
Yep.
then everything that they do is HIPAA compliant. The spreadsheets, the
Mhm.
documents, all of the things.
And
So it's one
side
of our
note,
requirements.
side note,
Yeah,
if you are starting to integrate AI and
right,
automations and those types of things, it makes it very, very simple to integrate these tools into it because if you have
right.
something else somewhere else, sometimes it can be a little more difficult. Ask me how
And
I know.
GHL, it's
Yeah.
like a spider web. It goes right into GHL.
Hmm.
So
Yep. So anyway,
skip, let's
so you
do
can skip
skip.
that. Yeah.
And if you guys are just joining us, we're doing Google Business Listing now. There's a guide in the chat for like how to set up your Google Business Listing, all of the things to know about. I'm here with Josh, my
And
ads dude.
you can go ahead and go over to
Um,
your profile. That's fine.
and we're looking at Sam's Google Business Listing as an example of what needs to be done on the Google Business Listing.
Now,
Then we're going to go with ads.
as you go through, if you're going to optimize, if you really want to optimize, so Google likes to send people to you that it feels is going to have a good experience because actually the person who's searching is their customer and they only want to refer you
Right.
if you are trustworthy, right? So that's part of when you talk about SEO and AEO and all that stuff, it's kind of like trust building with Google. But where you have this here, when you say add chat, that actually gives people the ability to send you messages and chat right from your business profile. It gives them another avenue that's easy. Now, I will tell you that as the population grows older, like I'm 43, I have one foot in analog and one foot in digital, right? But as things go, a lot of people literally are call averse. They like literally have
Right.
anxiety about making phone calls. It's weird. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's weird. But you giving them the ability to send you a text message or something like that to
Can
start the
these text
conversation.
messages integrate into the practice suite?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
so
part of the
cool, you
yep.
guys.
That's part of that part. You should go ahead and add all your social profiles in, and I don't know what else is there on that side in terms of the little carousel parts there. But, at this point, you're getting 384 views, right? So that's pretty cool. You can put an offer. So if you see that, you can actually put an offer. So if you've got a first time, patient special or something like that, add that into the mix because it just incentivizes people to call,
Do
right?
you suggest this for people who have virtual businesses or just mom and pop shop, like
Uh,
storefront
no,
businesses?
you absolutely can use it. It's not going to be as effective. Google likes to see an address, right?
Right.
So it's not going to be as effective as it pertains to rankings. But this is not just about the map rankings. This is about just okay. Let me put
Yeah,
something
what
out
is the
there.
map ranking?
If somebody recommends a business to you and you go and search Google and you can't find them on maps, do you feel less confident because you're like, well, why can't I find them on maps? Right?
Yeah, I
So
think that they don't have their act together.
correct. So you at least have to go through and at a very minimum, right?
Hmm.
Kind of work through. But there's optimizations that you can make here. So there's two types of optimizations. One type is to rank higher. So most of the time in most local, like when you go to Google and search something, there's going to be like three businesses that show up in the map sections, right? Um, there's things that you can do to affect your rankings in that.
Right.
And
And you
then,
guys, if you want me to run a report for you and how you're ranking, no problem. Just reach out to
yep,
me and I'll be like, hey, look, this sucks. We need to get your ranking up, right?
yep,
Before Sam stops sharing her screen, is there
sure.
anything else here? And then we'll go back to number two.
No, just basic things. If you guys, once you have this set up, always have a process ask for reviews, and have those things on coming through on a routine basis. And then make sure that you're actually reviewing your reviews, right? Because sometimes you're going to
Okay.
find really good stuff in there that you're like, oh, I need to promote that because I didn't even realize that was a thing that people cared about.
You need to they need to promote more the thing that is being viewed. So if they were if so in our marketing course, one of the things that we have is like, what do you have to remember to do every month? Every quarter, every week. So would you say like on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, go look at what people are looking at on your Google business listing, and that should be the thing that you promote?
I'd say as a small business like owner, I
Hmm.
would be doing that on a weekly basis
On a
if you
weekly
have the
basis.
volume for it, because I think it's
Really?
important. That's like there are things that you can catch the pulse of what your community believes about you. Like, so small business branding is about your reviews and your reputation, right? And Google My Business is literally that. And then in some cases, like here in the States, Yelp is also a big one. That, listen, Yelp is its own issue. It's its own thing. In the eastern side of the US, we don't really use Yelp that much. The West Coast, like California, Nevada, like all that over there, they use Yelp all the time.
Why
So
is
like
that?
I, your guess is as good as mine on that one. I have like everybody on the East Coast, like east of the Mississippi, you can pretty much gauge that they're going to use Google reviews pretty much exclusively. Um, Everything else, like Yelp is pretty big, right, on that side.
Huh,
So,
I never
you
knew
know,
that.
yep, it's
Okay,
interesting.
was there something you were saying number one and number two? What was the number two? Do you remember?
We'll have to circle back to it because of
Yeah,
what
we
the
go
context.
circular, you guys. This is what happens when Josh and I get on a call. So let's pivot into ads.
Hmm.
And if you guys are listening and you have questions, please drop them in the chat in Zoom. If you're watching this on Facebook, come in Zoom. um, so that we can give you the guide that's here, and then you can share and Josh can answer questions. So, can we lean? So, here's what happens. We have a new doc in practice. They're in a city, so they're kind of drowning with 100 chiropractors. Sure. Can you repost the guide, Sheena? They have 100 chiropractors on their street block, right?
Yep.
And they're like, well, I could either like commit all of my time to shaking hands and kissing babies, establishing relationships in my community, or I could lean a little bit, I could throw some money into ads or SEO. Where do they start?
So, kind of a loaded question because it's all personality driven, personality based. Obviously, ads are one way that you can get in front of people and get an awareness very, very quickly. That usually I'm going to start most likely inside of the Meta platform. So that's going to be Facebook and Instagram because that's where like there's just a lot of people there. And if you're trying to focus on like so for example, if you started a practice and you have a large employer nearby, a lot of times you can actually focus on people that are employed by that large employer, right? So I have somebody that's up in Northern Ohio that's close to the Honda plant, right? At one of the big assembly plants. And that's one of the things that they do, right? They
Right.
want to make sure that we take Honda's insurance and, here's the way that it works. So there's little things like that that you can typically get into, on that front. Um, but most of the time, you're new. People don't know who you are. So there is going to be an element of trust and all those things. Now, if you go back into where you spoke that there's, a whole street load of the same, types of chiropractors that you are, you really got to figure out a way to position yourself differently. Either one, you've got to specialize in something. So Dr. Jody, I know that I see pictures all the times with you with, pediatric or with kids,
Little
right?
people.
Right. So that's going to be a unique thing specifically to you. You might need to find your lane. Like the ad, to be clear, ads are a megaphone. If you don't have something good to say to begin with, the ads aren't really going to help you out near as much. Now, I would say this if you have a good offer or a good incentive to let them come in. So this is the second mistake whenever people have ads that I see a lot, is that they want to say we provide good service, we provide quality care. We've been in business for 25 years, like, and we're having a hard time people coming in. It's like, here's the main issue is that all those things you just said, number one, outside of the 25 years, other people can say, like they will say,
Right.
regardless of what they care or not. The other thing to that is that they only get to experience that if they come into your office. So that very first time that you're trying to get someone into the office to experience what you're about, be very open to incentivizing that person to come in because you know the types of services, the types of service that you offer. If it's a good experience, they're going to come back. So the ad allows you to have a megaphone that says, "Hey, here's a good offer that's relevant to you." I always like to use risk reversals. I mean, one of the things at least in the chiropractic space that we use a lot of, and you guys have seen this all over the place in a variety of formats, is a new patient special. Like, hey, listen, we value your business. We want you to come in. Here's something that we're going to do for you. Now, there is a lot of people that don't like that because they're like, hey, it's cheap.
Uh-huh.
It only attracts certain types of people. But everything that's good about you, there's nobody that gets to experience that unless they come in. And you just telling it and show, not tell, I guess is the
I
way that I'm trying to say.
actually, I I suggest to our clients that they do in the state of New Jersey, we're only allowed to give away a consult for free. We're not allowed to
Okay.
do exams for free. So because of that, all I do for free is give
Mhm.
consults, a 15-minute consult or a telehealth. So that naturally became what I built my offer around and what
Mhm.
I teach. So I just want to share this with
Fair
people
enough.
who have never seen it before. And this is what Josh and I set up for our clients. So you can see my website here. So first we build a website that's all about you. Like there's no question when you look at this website, what does she do? Oh, she's a baby whisperer, right? And then if somebody clicks new friends start here, which this is the main call to action before the scroll happens, they go into what's called a video sales letter. And what Josh and I work really hard on when our clients are like, I want ads, is to make this video sales letter catch the attention of the person who just saw the ad. So when they see the ad on Facebook or wherever it is, this becomes a natural extension of the ad and it speaks directly to whatever you called out on the social media ad, right? And then it talks about the most common concerns, and this is called our lead flow system. We put all of your Google reviews here, and then they book the complimentary discovery call. The cool thing, and what one of Josh's pieces of feedback was, this calendar should actually be right here so that they don't have to go looking for it. And I didn't do that on my page just because I really like this layout for my practice. But the cool thing is these days we can do this discovery call for you. We can make that offer as a concierge service. So if this ad was out there, so meet Dr. Jody, start with a discovery call, it might be about, the ad might be something like, is not knowing who you're going to end up meeting the thing that stops you from chiropractic care. Or the ad might be, you might feel like you're about to meet a stranger and hand them your baby for the first time. Why would you do that? Then they'll come here and they'll see meet Dr. Jody, start with a discovery call. There's no strings attached. Just meet me and know that I'm not a monster and I'm not going to hurt your baby. So Josh, anything that I just said that you want to double click on?
Hey, listen, whenever you have this part of it, you basically led into something that this is the other part that we use Facebook ads and meta ads pretty effectively on, is basically making people 5 Mile famous, right? Like, listen, unfortunately, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, you are a personal brand. Your name is on the door, right? So when you go through that, the more that we can introduce you to people through various ads that's going to get them to know, like, and trust you. That's another one of those things. Now that builds pipeline. That's not necessarily here's an immediate thing. I'm
What do
gonna
you mean that
Mhm.
builds pipeline? Break that up for us.
Okay. in in the world of business, like regardless of the service that you offer, there's only about 3% of the market that's in the market for your particular services. So if you got a city of 100,000, there's only about 3,000 people that's in the market for your service. And then of course that's spread along, whoever it is that offers the services, right? What happens to the other 97%?
Right.
Well, at some point they're going to like somebody needs to know you before they need you. And that's what I mean whenever I say, hey, you've got to build pipeline.
How
You got
many
1 to
times do
100.
they need to see your name? What's the stat?
It's a 7-Eleven 4. Google just did a new study on this. Funny enough, I'll share something with you. Anybody in the chat or unmute, um, how many times have you ever heard that somebody needs to see you at least 6 or 7 times before they'll make a decision,
Yep.
right?
Drop a one
Um,
if you guys have heard that, if you're in chat with us. Yep.
right?
Julie says yes.
Do you want to know
One.
where that stems from? You don't want to know
No.
where that comes
Yeah.
from?
Where?
That's an anecdote. That was an anecdotal study that happened in 1929. You know how they did it? How many times did somebody have to pass by a movie theater poster before they walked into the theater? That's where that came from. Crazy is what it sounds.
And is it
That's what
still a true
that's what
statistic?
everybody's been teaching. Well, and that's what Google did a study on. I could go like I would need a whole lot more time to go down that rabbit hole. But there's a 7-Eleven 4 framework. You know what we'll do? We'll make a special video to put into the training for your folks because that's a much deeper thing to where
What is
basically
7-Eleven for? Just a
7-Eleven
nutshell.
4 is they need to see you in 7 different channels, right? Um, for Man, the 4 number, I for the life of me,
You
I can't
don't know what
remember.
it is,
I can,
Josh.
for the life of
I'll
me,
do a training for
I
you.
cannot remember what the four stands for. The 11 though is basically 11 hours of content, right? Or they need to
Wow.
see your face for 11 hours. Now, when you know those things, and again, there's a very specific system and framework that we usually would help people put in place. Again, I'll share it with you, Dr. Jody.
A
But this is
consumer
something you can
needs
find if you
seven
search
hours.
for if
I'm
you
sorry, 7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points, and four separate platforms.
there you go.
7 hours of engagement, 11 touch points, and four separate platforms before they trust a brand enough to make a purchase. That's crazy.
And
So would you
that
say, yeah,
that is for your basic stuff. Think about a candy bar,
that was my
right?
question. So what about
That's
for
for
a
basic stuff.
chiropractor or a massage therapist?
Something
But
that's a
don't you
very,
think it
very high
depends?
trust. Yeah, if it's
I
very,
think
very
it
high trust, it's going to be a little bit more.
If my best friend went to a dentist and was like, that was the best experience I've ever had,
Yes.
that would just be one, that would be all I would need to hear. So I think part of it depends on what the source is, right?
Well, if that's and there's going to be things that are weighted a little heavier to that, but I would challenge you on that a little bit. If somebody refers you anymore, if somebody refers you, what is the very first thing that you do?
If somebody refers me, I look them up,
That's 2 platforms. One might be a referral
right?
or a person,
A
but
voice and a,
that's a
right.
second platform, and you're probably looking at reviews, and you're like even with referrals, people are still running through the process. We used to do this, and this is again, I want you to see the parallels because it doesn't matter the industry. Is like in when you look at e-commerce, for example, e-commerce products, or when you're looking to buy something online, I will promise you, if you see something on Facebook, 85% of you will go look it up on Amazon as well to see if it's a real product.
Do you find that like, this is kind of off topic, but
Hmm.
you could, I'll be thinking about something and then I'll see it on Facebook. Is that trippy? Is that me
Oh no,
forecasting?
that's in your phones. That like it
It's
is. I
so
can't remember that. I
creepy.
can't remember what they call it, but that is something that is. It's a something when you sign up for Facebook or Instagram or any of these platforms. It's in the apps. Like if you don't want that to happen, just delete all the apps off your phone.
Right, turn my phone off so let's go into, do we go down the ads route or do we go down the S? Because here's the money. The money's going out, the money's going out. Am I pouring
Yeah.
money into SEO? Am I pouring money into ads or am I doing a combination of the both? If this is a big if, I
Yes.
have never spent a dollar online for my practice and I never will.
Okay.
It's all
So.
relationship based. This is if you need to
Mhm.
lean on outside of shaking hands, kissing babies,
Sure.
using the books that are on the other side of my shoulder here, right?
Mhm.
If I need to throw money, where do I want to throw it? What's the difference between SEO ads, AI ads? I want to hear about that too.
Yeah, so we'll talk about ChatGPT. Right now, there's a lot of people that's the big thing. I'll just go ahead and nip that one in the bud right now. ChatGPT ads, don't worry about any of that stuff right now. The attribution is terrible. It's good for big
What does
companies
that
that are
mean? The attribution is
the
terrible.
attribution, which basically means they can't track if anything happens out of it or not. Right. I
Oh,
mean, it's
that's
good if you really want to just, but for most local businesses, not even something you should worry about. I mean, literally nothing at this moment. If you're a big company, cool, right? But most of us are not going to fit that particular bill, so don't even worry about it. Now, the question that you have is a good question. Is like, how do we allocate our marketing spend, right?
right.
And that's going to depend. That's going to depend. SEO is always going to take time. It's always going to provide the cheapest leads, most likely the highest quality leads, because they're coming to your website. They've already seen you. They put a appointment request in, like those types of things. But it takes time, generally 6 to 9 months to start getting traction. And that depends on how many people, competitors that are also doing the same thing. If you're in a rural market, it's not going to take that long at all, right? If
Right.
you're in Huntington, West Virginia, that's up the road from me, it's probably not going to take, it's a town of 55,000 people. It's not going to be that much because it's not a huge area.
Right.
If you're in Chattanooga or Nashville or even one of the suburbs of Nashville, it's going to take quite a bit longer because there's more competition that is trying to get into those rankings. So, as a quicker method, a lot of times if you have good reviews and you have some testimonials and things that we can get after, we'll usually start with ads because it can start generating patients a little quicker on that front, right? And
And
and you
I just want to say, like, you guys, I've worked with, I think you're the fourth ads, you're like my ads dude, right? You're the fourth ads dude I've worked with, and you are the first one that my clients come back to us and say, this guy is awesome. Like, he's really doing well right by us. And Josh has come to me a few times and said, Jody, don't worry about paying me for this person. We're still figuring it out. I feel bad about it. He's not about the money, which I think is so cool. With that being said, most people who do what you do charge $1,500 to $2,000 a month
yes.
plus ad spend.
Mhm.
Josh only charges, we're only charging $800 a month for Josh's service plus ad spend. Plus our team is doing all of the promotional pieces for you. So the brand is consistent wherever they look, even the ads. So the rule of thumb is like it's an $800 a month upgrade for whatever program you're in, and then estimate about $1,500 ad spend if you're
Yep.
doing Meta ads, Google ads.
Yeah,
Is that
so
fair?
so here's what I'll tell you when you're trying to do your ad spend, right? This is also a big question that we get all the time, like how much should I spend on ads? I would say that it depends. Here's the reason why is because every market will be slightly different in their lead costs. And again, a high population area will be more expensive, or more rural area will be less. But here's where we start with. You start at $30 to $50 a day, right? Somewhere in that range.
$30 a day is
Yep, $30 to
$900.
$50 a day. What that will allow us you to do, it will allow you to buy data that says, hey, we can get leads for this amount, and then you configure on your practice side, this number of leads became patients. So now we can discuss how many new patients do you need a month? Oh, you need 20.
Right,
Okay, well, based on our numbers, how many leads do we need? Oh, we need 50 leads to get 20 patients. Perfect. Now and I'm just going to throw a number out there. Our lead cost was $20 per person, right? So I need
right.
50 leads. So times 20, that's going to be 1,000. So in that $30 to $50 range, that's going to be perfect for you. If you want to go and you want to say we want 80 new clients, okay, well now we've got to have 200 people come through the door at $20 a piece. So you're going to have to spend about $4,000, right?
Right.
It's a very math data driven thing, super easy, but you've got to have the data to be able to correlate.
But then the skill is what you guys do is you're like the ads geeks. Like
Yep.
you're watching it like a hawk to say, no, 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 we need to go right. Now go left, now go
Mhm.
right. So
That's it.
how do you choose between Meta
Meta.
ads, Instagram ads,
Yep.
Google
So
Ads, what?
I'm going to share with you there's two ways that you want to think about this. You have what we would call display ads. Those are going to be anything like Meta, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Basically anything that you're just going to put like a picture of an ad up. That's the easiest way to describe it. And then you have search ads. Okay, that's going to be on Google and Bing and anywhere that you're going to have a search engine, right? Technically, ChatGPT falls within that particular set for search. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, how you decide what you want to do, search ads are really good at capturing intent at the bottom of the funnel. Now, I need to describe to you that there's a funnel process. So when we were talking about buying cycle, well, we just turned that the other way. People come into the top and then they funnel down into customers or patients at the bottom, right?
Right.
It's a process. So we always try to start ads at the very bottom because that's the closest to your money. And then we back up, and then over time, you've got a series of ads that run to help facilitate the decision. Okay, does all that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm following.
Okay, it's easier sometimes whenever I got a whiteboard and some pictures, but we'll work through the details on that. Um, so as you go through intent at the very bottom, we can say people who are looking for a chiropractor near me, chiropractor nearby, chiropractic services, knee pain chiropractor. Like all those are very, very high intent words of people who are looking for something, a very specific service. Search ads can work really, really well. Search ads also work well when there has been an action that triggers the search. So, for example, if you're in a car accident happens, sometimes you're searching for a chiropractor, sometimes you're searching for your insurance or a body shop or a variety of other things that, kind of correlate with that part of it.
So
But
you
there's a
guys,
trigger action that happened.
this comes down to Sheena, can you drop the link for Perfect Practice Member in the Zoom? It's stafflesspractice.com/ppm. This comes down to figuring out who you do all of this for.
Yeah,
And it's not just anybody. The rule of thumb is if you have a minute in the elevator with one person from floor 1 to floor 10, there's one person. It's not an age group, it's one age. They have one interest level. Who is that person? And then it becomes really easy to say, this is what they're thinking about. This is what they're
correct.
looking up. This is the problem that they're looking to have solved.
Now, Facebook and other display ads, we use those whenever we're trying to plant seeds. So I'll give you a perfect example. Some of your practices aren't just chiropractors. Some of them will have some alternative therapies and things. So one of the things that whenever you have, like we do a lot with stem cells. Stem cells are really interesting in the way that they work. But I'll use that as an example because on most platforms, you almost can't advertise. So we take those and we rephrase it as joint rejuvenation, right? Because it basically does, similar things. And then we can run ads for that part of it. But most people don't know the benefits of what that is. So Meta works very, very well because they're not like they just don't know as much yet, or they didn't know somebody local was there. The other side to this is that we want to make you 5 Mile famous. Meta and specifically Meta is going to do a very, very good job and allows to say, take your office, draw a 5 mile circle, and let's show people so that whenever they're thinking, if it potentially even ever comes up, that
Right.
either one, they need me, or two, somebody saw somebody that could refer me.
Makes sense. I also heard that, well, actually, I know this because I pulled an audience. You can go on an app, and I learned about this at our last convention. You
Mm.
can go on an app and say, this is the Facebook group I want to advertise to their members.
Yes.
Say there's a Facebook group of one of the organizations in your profession, and
Yes.
you want to promote, you want them to see your ad. You
Hmm.
can get the Facebook group IDs of those
Yep.
members. And you guys, this is insane. And you can build an audience for an ad, or this is what, Josh,
Hmm.
can you speak to this?
Yep. So there's an app. I'll tell you what the app is. There's an app called Lead and Force. Like it
Right.
has. We use it all the time. And what you do is that you sign up for it. It goes through and it scrapes user IDs and those types of things, creates a custom audience for us to use. And that's just a simple way to say, hey, here's who you can show ads to. And we pull that in and it only show ads to them.
That's
Uh,
so
we use,
cool.
yeah, we use those things a lot. In a local business sense, everybody in their local areas has local trader groups and like everybody has local groups that you
Right.
can do all of those things for. And like, I'll be honest with you, some of those things, like again, we have a town up the road of 57,000 across the river for in Kentucky. There's 26,000. Like, so inside of like a 25-mile radius, there might be 100,000 people total, right? I mean, it's just, we're more in a rural area, right? But there are community groups that have, 70,000 people in them. Now, some of them are buy, sell, trade type things, and just like again, a lot of
Uh-huh.
community-based things. But if you are the number one most recognized person in those particular groups, you're going to see a whole lot more patient loads come through.
And if you guys are doing this in combination with, I have to find it. Can you speak about when we use Meta versus Google Ads? And while you're doing that, I want to pull up a visual for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, so the way that we make the decision is basically on what you want to promote in the offer. So if you've got something, you bought a new piece of equipment and you need to fill up the schedule, and people don't know that you offer it or they don't even know. So like we get this a lot with different red light therapies and things that people aren't as familiar with. We can take that on Meta is probably going to be a better thing because we can plant seeds and educate to get people to come in, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, especially for that particular use case. So it really just depends on what you're shooting for. Know that Google is way more expensive whenever it comes to a cost per lead than what Facebook is. This is another kind of weird thing that most ads people will tell you is like, oh, Google, they're just so much better because they're already searching for it.
Not
Not
necessarily.
not really the case because so I'll give you a prime example. If somebody goes into your town and just searches the word chiropractor, what are they looking for? Like, we don't know that they're looking for somebody close by. We don't know if they're researching, if their issue can be fixed by a chiropractor. Like, so there's no intent behind it. And for people that want to say, hey, you need to show up for the word chiropractor, that actually may not be the case.
Right.
So
So
Google is not always the golden bullet that
it's
they say it is.
where I think that's where your talent comes in is you look at the situation, you look at who
Mhm.
the perfect practice member is.
Correct.
And all the while, we're building your Honey AI. We're building your AI brain so that all Josh has to do is go into your AI brain that we built and say, who's the perfect person and where
Yeah.
should we focus our ad spend? So you guys can see the page that says practice member stages here. Josh, you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
So the idea is that there are three life cycles to a patient. There's when they're a lead, which is they're intrigued. Maybe they've given you their name and their email and their phone number. Maybe they haven't yet. Maybe they're still in that cycle where they're hearing you 4, 7, 11, whatever it was. Then they come in for visit one. They're still not a yes. They still haven't said, I am all in. Once they're a practice member, that's when they've said yes. That's when they are now a client or a practice member. It's really important during this phase and even during visit one phase that you're staying top of mind. Then you look at all of the different things that you could possibly be doing. Ads are just one of them. So I don't even know if I put ads here. I didn't, but there's email nurture sequences. There's them seeing you show up on social media, like on your page, right? There's calling them, like a good old-fashioned phone call. There's text messages. They'll see you when they go to ChatGPT. They'll see you when they go to Google, whatever it is. You want to be thinking it's like if you can picture, I want to go into this too. If you can picture your efforts in marketing your practice as an octopus, there are 8 arms and each arm has tentacles all over it. The tentacles on just one arm are all of these options. Josh's piece is to take the ones that you can pay for and make the best bang for your buck. I want to make this super clear to you. And I beg of you, do not spend money on promoting your practice unless you have got your stuff together. Make sure you've got your time, energy, money balance figured out. Your exchange of time, your exchange of money, the visit types that you offer, who your practice members are, what they need to see when they walk in. Figure all of that stuff out. Figure out your office space, figure out the support you need, figure out how you use AI, get your platform together, and this is where the practice suite kicks in. Then it's time to grow. You've got to work on the first 8 steps of this before you start, because what will happen, and you guys, I'm speaking from experience, you will pour money, you will pour your blood, sweat, and tears. I cannot tell you how many Saturday mornings when my kids were little, I missed baseball, soccer, whatever, because I was doing spinal screenings, right? I was pouring money and I would get people in and I'd hit this glass ceiling because I didn't start with the first steps. I didn't figure out time, energy, money exchange. I beg of you to figure this stuff out before you meet. You don't meet with Josh until everything else has been done in my world. So, Josh, anything else before I open it up to
No,
questions?
I appreciate you saying that because I will tell you that there's times that we have nearly ran people out of business
Right.
because they didn't have all that stuff right. Like they had new patient opportunities, they had all
They'll
that
come
stuff, but then
in. Yeah.
when they couldn't get them scheduled on time, when they didn't have their front office all squared away, then they started getting bad reputation or bad
Yep.
reviews online. Like it is a quick
It's my
snowball
biggest
downhill
fear.
if
Yep.
you don't have it all put together first. So I'm
You
glad that
gotta
you brought
have
that
it.
up.
And that's why you come to me, you come to a discovery call with me for Staffless Practice, and you're like, I want to run ads now. I'm gonna be like, show me your schedule. Show me your stats. Let's put together a whole approach for you to get your act together in practice if it's not already there. Okay. I'm going to open it up to questions to people
Question.
who are in our Zoom. If you're watching this recording, um, if you have any questions for Josh, just connect with me and I'll put you in touch with him. Otherwise, I'm opening it up to the people in Zoom. I'm going to end our Facebook Live. If you're watching us on Facebook, go make the world better with great care. I'm loving you from here. Ending our live Facebook broadcast. Okay. Does anybody who's with us right now have questions? Wasn't that awesome, you guys? I feel like I know a little bit more. Josh and I are part of a mastermind of marketing agency owners, and you know, Staffless Practice is more of a practice growth partnership than a marketing agency. But I sit in this room, and we're going this weekend. I sit in this room with these people are brilliant. I'm definitely the dumbest person in the room. And half of what they're saying, I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about right now. So I'll ask people in the room like Josh, can you make that make sense for me? Because I don't know what he's talking about. Any
Yeah.
questions? Sam says thank you.
Yeah, just
Question, Julie,
guys, you can
shoot.
just unmute. You can just unmute and just ask if
Yeah,
you
just
want
start
to.
asking
Okay.
away.
Sorry, my camera's not working, but you
All
had
good.
mentioned for a small business um, that we should be checking weekly what people are searching. How do we do that?
Yeah, so I think that on that part of it, it's not as much checking weekly on what people are searching, but check your reviews. Just watch your
I'll
reviews
check
on a weekly
reviews.
basis. As somebody who is, at the top of the organization, unfortunately, like if you are a solo practitioner, you've got all that to wear, right? If
Yeah.
you've got associates and things to work, then your job is really to set the vision and make sure that everything is kind of, all the cogs are working and things are clicking. Always be checking those reviews because it's the very first indication that something may be wrong. Like so, and I know people get freaked out about bad reviews and things like that. Number one, nobody's ever perfect. I'll be like, you tell me how many of you will look at reviews and there's like 293 5-star reviews and they've never had anything bad said about them ever at all. And it's like, doesn't that make you just a little suspicious? Like even
Right.
the
Like, what's
crazy
up with
people.
that?
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even the best businesses have some crazy people, right? That will come in. So like I don't want you to be completely freaked out, but
Or it could
it
be
would
like a
be
grandma reviewing you and they think one is the best, you
right.
know?
Listen, I've had that happen
Right? Like
before as
I
well,
gave
right?
her a one.
Thumbs up, right?
Thumbs
You're
Grandma.
number one. So like it's so it's one of those things where as you go through there, just check your reviews and make sure that like and again, there's going to be insights where you will find things out that people like that you really didn't know, or that you might have some things to work on. And as a good business operator, those are really the very, very, foundational pieces of things that you have control over that you can fix. There's some things you don't, but at least at that point, now, just because someone complains doesn't mean you need to go change the world and shake everything up either. You've got to have a little discernment on that side, but it is something that I usually recommend people do. Again, I come from like we do a lot with ads. We're also doing a lot with AI now. So, like building little tools that go out and look at Reddit and look at your Google reviews and look at Yelp and all those things. Like I can usually have that done once a week and then just distill it down for me. So it's not like a huge amount of effort, but it's not a huge amount of effort anyway, just doing it manually. Especially if you've got 50 patients a week coming in and you're constantly trying to get new reviews in, which you should be. Sometimes you'll get, 15, 20 reviews a week, and that'll be something good that you can go through. The other cool part about it is, just as a side note, is that you can take those back to the team and share, because how many of the people in your offices typically don't see the great things that people say about them?
Right.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that idea.
So in May, at the end of May, something funky happened. My Facebook page, business Facebook page got shut down.
Mhm.
Now I'm not getting any calls from my Google ads. So is that, I think
I
that
generally
link, is that what's happening?
Generally speaking, that's not the Facebook side of things should not impact the Google side of things.
Mm.
So there's
Hey,
probably,
Josh, can I interrupt?
yeah,
Julie's one of our special clients.
yes,
Can we just have you meet with her
sure,
and look at her stuff? Julie, why don't we
100%.
do that?
Yes,
Yeah,
that would be
Because we
great.
100%.
can, Julie, because we can, sister.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't think that that's going to be that's not should not be a correlative thing. But by the way, Facebook does what Facebook wants to do, and that's
Right.
not an unusual thing to hear from them.
Really?
Here's what support will tell you: start a new page.
Yeah,
It's,
that's basically it. They said it's not fixable.
yep. It's ridiculous. They are an
That's
800-pounder gorilla
ridiculous.
that we been to, because that's if I didn't have to deal with Facebook ever again, it would not be I would be completely ecstatic by that. But
It's funny because Staffless Practice, we grew on Facebook. Like
mhm,
my Facebook group has 3.9 thousand members. It's literally how people found out about us. But
yeah,
I will say that was like five years ago. It
mhm.
was hot and heavy. I don't think people look at Facebook nearly as much as they used
They
to.
honestly, Facebook groups, by the way, everybody that's on this call, you should have your own local Facebook group that you invite
Right.
people into to talk about things. They
See you
literally
guys?
Meta
Yeah.
just released, like, because you can run ads inside your group now. But Meta just released a new app called Forum that is literally nothing but groups,
Tell
right?
me
So
more.
uh I don't even know that much about it, only because literally I was going through yesterday. I was like, it is like this week or within the last 2 weeks that they've released it. But like, so if you're in groups, it's literally thing to where like I don't have to get on Facebook. I can just go to forum,
Oh, wow.
and look at my group. I'll see if like I
So you
just
don't have to
downloaded
go
it.
through the feed anymore.
Yep, I just downloaded it, and let me see if I can.
Josh is in a meeting with a bunch of crunchy holistic doctors wearing a shirt with a rifle on it.
Like it's
Not
okay.
that you know
Go
that I'm a
It's
Josh.
hippie
okay. It's just
deadhead, Josh.
it's the design. Well, listen, if I had to tell you, because I think everybody can agree with the thing is like be a lion, not a sheep.
We can
Okay.
all agree with being
I
a
was like, it doesn't
lion.
matter where you stand, just don't be the sheep. Don't follow just because.
I just
Anyway,
saw your shirt. That's awesome. Go, Josh, go, Julie
I've
said.
done a pretty good job. I've done a pretty good job just kind of like managing the
You
thing here.
crushed
Okay,
it,
so
Josh. That was
oh
great.
man. So I'm gonna try to let that thing get okay, so this may be backward. Oh,
I can't
of
see it.
course. Yeah, well, because of
Now your
the
face
goofy
is
Zoom.
blurry.
Yeah,
Does
so
anybody else
uh
have questions for Josh before, because we are 2 minutes over the hour? So we're going to take the recording of this training and create a guide. And Josh said he's going to do some kind of geeked out thing with creating a checklist and all the stuff. And
yep.
if you are registered, I will go ahead and send it out to you. I'm going to thank Josh, first of all, and I got a big
Thank
hug
you.
coming to you on Monday.
Yes.
Julie and Rod and Sam and Soparucci. um, Thanks for being here. And my lovely Sheena, my right hand, was here with us too. So, Josh, anything else you want to share?
Nope, just go out there, and if you decide to work on some of these things yourself, uh,
Hmm.
like just hopefully this takeaway, watch the recording. I'm sure there'll be some things that you can pop back in. And hey, listen, if you have questions or anything, pop them. I'm sure that there's a group that they can post into questions and that
Yep.
kind of stuff. I'm happy to actually go through. You let me know those questions. I'll make Loom videos and I'll just let you pop those things back in. Super simple.
I
Yeah,
love it. All
happy to
right.
help.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate your time. Bye, guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk soon.